All right, it's halfway to the United States, and the migrant caravan is all anyone can talk about, leaving aside the fact that better than 1 million immigrants are becoming legal citizens in this country this year, continue a trend that has been uninterrupted under President Trump, just as it was largely uninterrupted under President Obama and President Bush for him. In other words, legal immigration still is alive and well, and at the tune of a net gain to this country of better than 1 million citizens each year, darn near every year. Border Patrol Union President Judd, though, on this caravan. We lose sight of that, don't we, that legal immigration is just fine and working just fine. This is another matter, huh?
We absolutely lose sight of that. President Trump has never talked down about legal immigration. He's always talked about illegal immigration and the need for border security to secure the American public, which is what the American public has a right to. And I appreciate him for that.
You know, Brent, what is our obligation as a country to this caravan or whomever arrives ultimately at the border? And they arrive now in one area, it seems, Tijuana. But what can you explain the process, what we have to do, what we're obligated to do?
It depends upon how they do it. There is a legal process. They can present themselves at ports of entry. They can claim asylum at a port of entry, which is a legal process, which then will process them into the United States pending a credible fear claim. But the problem is that the vast majority of these individuals do not do it legally. They will ultimately break the law by crossing the border illegally, and then they'll claim asylum once they take Border Patrol resources out of the field. But what's really upsetting to Border Patrol agents about this is they can accomplish this exact same thing in their own countries. If you're from Guatemala, you can go to an American consulate and you can claim asylum there. We're ultimately going to have to do an investigation into your claim. If you're in your country, it makes it a lot easier on our government to investigate that. But we know that what they're doing, they're crossing the border illegally because they know that ultimately they're going to be released and they're not going to have to show up to their court appearances, which then puts out a warrant for their arrest and ties up the system even further.
All right. We don't have a firm figure on how many don't show up, but we have another idea that's been bandied about, that the Mexicans maybe can hold them while we're waiting for that process to be cleared. But the Mexicans don't seem eager to do that. So then what do? The president had mentioned building tents or tent cities that could house a lot of these folks while they're waiting for that, because in the end, only a small percentage of asylum seekers from any nation are ultimately brought into the country on an asylum basis. So what happens?
Well, ultimately, it looks like about 20% of those people actually show up to their court dates, and those are only the ones that have a legitimate asylum claim. That's the reason that 80% don't show up to court. We can build tent cities. We can do all of those different things. The problem is we have this Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals case, the Flores decision, which says we can only hold children in custody for 20 days. And if you can only hold them in 20 days, we cannot adjudicate an asylum claim within 20 days. So ultimately, they end up getting released into the United States under what's known as the catch and release program.
Yeah, I think the president said he just wanted to keep it to catch, no release. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Judd, thank you very, very much.